Welcome to another edition of Believe in Giants. Bob Papa, two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks, and I still can't believe what happened on Sunday night. Speaking of believe, with the Giants getting smoked by the Cowboys, 40-0. We've had a chance to digest it a little bit, Carl. How surprised are you still by what we saw on the field on Sunday night?
Well, it was bad, Bob, and there's really no way to sugarcoat it. They were outmatched from start to finish, meaning they just couldn't execute. Not that, and this is not a slight of Dak Prescott, but he just had to manage the game because everybody else did the work for him. You know, he just had to go out there and not make a mistake. And so you don't know. I mean, Dak Prescott didn't light the stat sheets up, but he didn't have to. It's like, hey, I'm in cruise control now. I'm in the fast lane and things are moving fast. So I'm going to just hit the cruise button and go 75 with the rest of the flow of traffic. I don't have to do anything exceptional. But, obviously the area that is most concerning is the offensive line. Are they this bad? Is Dallas that good? Or is it somewhere in between? You're only judged by the game that you just played, right? And you're that bad. And if you think you're not that bad, you're going to have to prove it week in and week out now. I personally think they have to play better. I don't think they're trash, but they got to play a lot better. The reason being, if you could chalk this up, if they had, let's just say they had a couple good games and they were very productive, and then they ran into a buzzsaw that's the Dallas Cowboys, then you say, okay, well, Dallas is just that good. Dallas does this to everybody. But the problem with having Dallas as the first game and having that level of performance, that means every single team is going to try to replicate Dallas. Now, there's the Philadelphia Eagles, there's the Dallas Cowboys, and they're the 49ers. Those guys get after you, right?
Sure.
But what you have to deal with now are a bunch of wannabes. And they're going to try to make their rep and they're going to try to make their name by destroying your pass protection.
Oh, and by the way, Arizona had 6 sacks last week.
Case in point. Now, their coach comes from Philadelphia, so they understand the Giants. But the journey right now just got harder because it didn't look competitive from an offensive standpoint. The first drive, you did a lot of good things. And then I had questions, and I had questions throughout the game. Why didn't you go back to that? I know a lot of the coaches and coordinators in this league, they come to the game with a script of plays that they want to run.
Sure.
And I've always questioned this, is if something's going well, do you have to wait until you get through the script to run it again? Or can you just say, just keep running this? And, I've talked to the Coach Dable. He said they get back to plays on their script. It just didn't look that way. I'm like, well, you had a really good first drive, then you come back and you start passing the ball.
Yeah, it was quick, right?
Yeah, I'm like,
quick.
You had some things going on that were working. You were moving. So, but that is we'll get those answers soon. The thing that I am interested in seeing is how this team will bounce back. And I think Saquon Barkley in his post game said it best. The league's not going to have any sympathy for you, so don't come in here with a pity party. You
Right.
made the bed, fight out of it. This is what it is now. But this offensive line just invited, they just sent out invitations to every defensive front in football to come and party with them, because until they stop it, everybody's going to try to make a rap against you. Now, here's the other residual effect of that. Your quarterback got hit a lot. His judgment was impaired. Even when he wasn't getting hit, his decision-making was impaired. Now, that's dangerous too, because you don't want to be the quarterback that says, that teams say, hey, you hit him a little bit and you start getting pressure around him, he's going to panic and he's going to make some bad decisions, or he falls apart. He'll miss his reads. That you can't do either. And so all of these things have just landed in the Giants offensive meeting room. You've got to self-evaluate your Daniel Jones, right? Now, you got the corrections you got to make, and you got to I missed that one. Yep, underthrew that one. I was getting hit on that one, but I could have made a better throw. Oh, I shouldn't have thrown that as I was going out of bounds. And then you got offensive linemen saying, well, shit, we could have had this play if we'd have blocked this guy, or we turned the guy loose when I'm trying to get to the second level and the guy in front of me just runs right by me. All of those things.
Yeah, like what's the rush to get to the second level if you're not going to block the first level?
Yeah, get your running back a chance, and then maybe he can make the guy at the second level miss, but get the frontline guys. So those are the things that just landed in the Giants meeting room. But the two biggest concerns right now, and they obviously go hand in hand, is now the Giants offensive line will have to deal with all comers, right? And secondly, what reputation, whether you like Daniel Jones or not, prior to this game, the one thing that he will have to do is prove that he can make good decisions under extreme duress, because the book now is, hey, get pressure on him. And not like all quarterbacks.
Yeah, none of them like pressure.
None of them like pressure. But there comes a time where in games, when things ain't going well, where you got to stand in there, make a big decision, a good decision. It may mean making a big play and taking a big hit at the same time, but you got to be willing to have that level of toughness when the opportunity presents itself.
Now, in defense of him, Carl, his toughness has never been questioned, right?
Correct.
Now, it got tested quite a bit the other night.
It's not a physical toughness in this situation. It's a mental toughness. And Daniel Jones got hit with 2x4 2 plays in a row, and they left him in the game, which is another thing that we should probably touch on a little bit. But I mean, he was getting mollywopped. He was getting back up. That part of it I never questioned about his physical toughness. But the mental endurance under duress is where it shows up. And teams will start to look at that. And
yeah, like he missed the throw to Hyatt, because the pressure had gotten to him such that he thought there was pressure when there really wasn't.
Yeah, that's the internal clock
behind him. Yeah.
And you gotta be calm in the storm, and this was probably as bad as he's seen. You should probably have a conversation with Eli Manning, because Eli Manning's had some games like this. And how do you steady yourself to make the big play when it's there? Or do you just now start to focus on all the pieces falling around you? And the unfortunate part about it for Daniel Jones is it didn't come from one area. And I don't understand. I get it, but I don't. Everybody, the default bad player on this offensive line in the minds of fans is Evan Neal. All I was reading about is Evan Neal this, Evan Neal this. That entire offensive line played like shit. it was just not Evan Neal. They were picking sides. They picked the left side one time, picked the right side. They go up the middle. So I mean, maybe you guys are right. You saw Evan Neal play bad. You might want to look and see who else played bad because
they all played bad. You're right.
It was a lot, folks.
Even Andrew Thomas didn't play great either.
Got the field goal blocked. You got the field goal blocked. So yeah, and again, they're playing the Dallas Cowboys. So you can say, yeah, well, Dallas showed us that we're not quite at the level we should be. And Dallas is showing the world that, hey, it ain't over for us. So they had something to prove too. But because of the way you played offensively, you just send an invitation to the rest of the league, the rest of the schedule. Now, and you might as well get ready because they're coming. They're going to send the kitchen sink at you. And if you block it up, you're going to shut some people down. But if you don't, just prepare to struggle and just, have to battle it out every week.
Well, here's another area of concern. Carl, excuse me. The other area of concern is you're going to have to prove you got to block it, right? Because they're going to come at you constantly. You know what else they're going to keep coming at? Your special teams. Yeah. Because this has been a problem here now, like over the last year with some special teams mistakes. And we saw it during training camp and preseason special teams, and they saw something on film with the way they lined up to block that field goal. And they got pressure on the missed field goal by Gano. I almost think that, in quarterback terms, I think Gano was so unsure of his protection. Sure. That I think the one he missed, he rushed it. Like, when you swing too fast in golf and you smother hook it.
That's a possibility. That's a good point. And, getting blocked off the wing in today's NFL, it shouldn't happen. It's the easiest thing to block because you got the longest, meaning physically longest individuals at the tackle or at the end and on the wing.
Didn't you play wing?
I played it I couldn't get off it. I played it for 12 years. And you normally graduate off of special teams, but they keep you on the wing. Myself and Howard Cross, we were the wings. And it was because you got these long arms and it's a step down and a ricochet out. And you got two guys and they're not allowed to pull you either. So that's the thing. So if you got these long guys in there, there's no way this should continuously be a threat. It's a technique. It's a fundamental. I don't know how Coach T-Mac is teaching it, but he's going to have to alter it because it's becoming something that shows up on everyone's scouting report.
So what is it you did again? Explain for the audience exactly what you mean by the simple procedure that you used.
Well, it's a jab down and a ricochet out. And if you got a long wingspan, that's why they got those big guys out there, you should be able to do that. And because the rules don't allow, like if I'm the wing guy and the guy I'm on the wing of, they can't pull him down to create space. It's illegal. So they try to charge the gap. You just basically jabbing the guy inside to his next guy and ricocheting out, making that end guy run the hump, and he won't be able to get a short line to the kick. But again, I don't know how Coach T-Mac is teaching it. And I don't even know if that's a fundamental that they teach with the Giants. But when you have this big of a problem and it's been ongoing, it's time to change your thinking on it, not necessarily the personnel, but change your thinking on how you're teaching that and blocking that.
The other thing, Carl, I mean, you're 100% right. Dak Prescott, the Cowboys didn't need Dak Prescott to have a Dak Prescott-like game. Mm-hmm. You get a blocked field goal return for a touchdown. You drive down there, you get 3, you're up 9-0. You'd miss the extra point, and then you get ball pops up in the air. It's returned for a touchdown by Bland. So now it's 16-0. They don't turn the football over. But it is a little bit of it's a little alarming with the Cowboys having their starting left guard out that the Giants did not manufacture much pressure at all against Dallas in this game. On those couple of 4th down pass plays.
Yeah, they just, well, number one, they didn't do enough on 1st and 2nd down to get themselves in a favorable down and distance situation. They just managed the game, the Cowboys did. But yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. The Giants will have to generate some pass rush. Like, they gave up a few big runs. It wasn't alarming. Pollard, whatever his numbers were, he just didn't. It didn't look like he gouged the defense.
No, and some of their numbers came when it was 33-0.
Yeah. But the thing is, I would advise this group to say less for the rest of the year, because right now nobody. And I'm not even talking about your fan base, but nobody's going to take your word for it. You can project, we're going to be better. Show everybody you're going to be better, because nobody's taking your word for it. Everybody, and after a loss, there's always overreaction. After a blowout loss, it's the world's coming to an end. So it's no sense in trying to make anybody feel better. Just play better, and everybody will feel better. I think they're a better football team. And I said this in the summertime, from a personnel standpoint, they're better. Will that show up in the box scores? It didn't. It didn't even look like they were a better football team on Sunday night, but I do know they are. And the only thing they should be doing now is you just got to go improve it. Say less, because nobody's going to take you at your word. And just, again, if I'm in that locker room, it's, we're gonna believe in each other. We're gonna fight, and just know that you're gonna have to take somebody's best punch, and it's gonna be from some bums, because they don't think you're that good. So they're gonna come out swinging at you, and you're gonna have to punch them in the face back. The last touchdown of the game, which one, and I'm not singling this individual out, but I'm singling the mentality, right? Dallas scored, and a wide receiver at the end of the game blocked Azeez Ojulari. Can't not happen. You gotta be so pissed that a wide receiver is even attempting. But yeah, y'all kicking our ass, but this ain't happening right here, bro. I'm about to break your neck. I'm about to just send you into the nickel seats. You're not coming in here to block me. That's what they got to have. And
I think it was Gallup that blocked him.
Yeah, I mean, Gallup will be out for the next game. Y'all blowing me out, but I'm not going to be the one they're sending you in here to block me. No, that would be the mentality that, and that's the mentality they're going to have to adopt too. That's just simple as that. And this wasn't a knock per se on Azeez Ojulari, because if it was Thibodeau, I'd say the same thing. It's like, you got to be mad as hell. Like, you got to play mad, even though you're getting your ass beat. You got to show up on tape that the next team, if you want to send your wide receiver in here to crack block me, I'm going to hurt him. And y'all going to have to find another receiver or find another play to run at the end of the game or in the middle of the game. So that is how they have to be, because they're going to try to – teams are going to want to punk them, right? They're not going to fear you, so you're going to have to earn your respect. The good news is you can go through the rest of the season proving that. It's not like you have a series of games, a block of games where everybody's done this to you. It's one game. It was bad.
Don't make it a trend. Don't make it a trend.
Don't make it a trend. But defensively, your two rookies got called for penalties. I'm okay.
I thought they did okay.
Deontay Banks got called for a penalty because he jammed the guy too hard. He jammed him past the 5 yards. He wouldn't let him off the line of scrimmage. the pass interference on Hawkins, he was in good position. He didn't look like he panicked, but he got called for it. So that's what it is. But you live with that. But you don't live with the big play off the bunch formation. The guys running into each other. Right? It was I don't know if it was a Dorian Pinnock.
Adoree Jackson got picked off by like
his own
DBs
guy.
and receivers.
Yeah. And I know they practice how to unsort that type of thing, but that's the one big play that Dallas had. And again, they didn't have to go into their bag because they were ahead and it was a blowout. And, they just had a couple big plays that you probably could recover from had you had any semblance of an offense. So, folks, it was bad. Can't sugarcoat it. Nobody's going to take your word for it if you're talking Giants. And I think, Saquon said it best. Nobody's feeling bad for you. Don't have a pity party. Come and go to work. And, people have bad days and move on. Simple as that.
All right. Well, I think we've covered it. I think we've covered it all here at this point. Do you think they should have taken Jones out sooner?
I do.
Yeah, so do I.
And I get coaching and, football is football, but when you can't protect him and you just paid him a lot of money, get him out. I mean, it was 40 zip. And guy jumps off sides, mollywops him. Very next play, does the same thing again. That's a disservice to your franchise quarterback.
So one more thing to cover here before we go. Because the Giants play the Jets this year. Mm-hmm. The Giants home game. So this is actually has an impact on the Giants schedule. Can you believe what happened to Aaron Rodgers 4 snaps into his Jets career? I mean,
it's so unfortunate, man.
I have seen, like, we all know about the Jets and having not been to or won a Super Bowl since Super Bowl III. We know about the 12 years without making the playoffs. We know the whole history of it, right? Mm-hmm. They've had some teams that have been good. Some of those teams in the 80s were good. You had the 98 team with Parcells that was leading at the half in Denver in the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. Then Vinny blows out his Achilles on a handoff to start the next season in day one. Mm-hmm. They had the Rex teams that went to back-to-back AFC Championship games. So it's not like they've been, completely awful over the last 30 years. But I can't believe this. I kind of,
yeah, it's so unfortunate. And here's the thing, though. The young man who said that they could be as good as the 85 Bears, they might have to be.
Well, they were last night because
if that happens, Bob, they'll still have a lot of success. The Jets, if this defense continues to do what they did last night, they're going to win some games because you forced Josh Allen into 4 turnovers himself. And it's because, you know why? And okay, so folks, we focused on the Giants offensive line, right? Mm-hmm. Buffalo had hell on their hands. And by the way, the Jets had hell on their hands too. There was, when Aaron Rodgers was in there, 2 of the 4 plays he was running
under pressure. Yeah.
Can you give me, and this is not a knock if you're any of your Jets fans, it's not a knock on your personnel any more than it's on the Jets or on Buffalo. But can you give me one series of downs where Zach Wilson wasn't on the run every freaking pass play? I mean, it seemed like he was scrambling for his life as well. So, yeah, everybody's offensive line's got to be better. A lot of them got to be better on the plays that they need to make. Some need to be better across the board. But, folks, I mean, you're mad at your guys. Zach Wilson was running for his life. and they were pounding the crap out of Josh. So, yeah, this offensive line thing is a problem for everybody. And you just want guys that can sustain you enough to get you enough plays to either keep you in a game or to win a game. But it's, Jets defense, hats off to you brothers, because y'all balled your asses off. And, when the air left the stadium, that Jet defense picked them up and they just went on and found a way. All three phases, offense, defense, special teams. Well, special teams won the game for them. Defense set the table. So, and they had, guys that played above the numbers too when they had a chance to make a play. So, yeah, I mean, that's nothing wrong with us saying that here. It's credit where it's due. When we look around the NFL, and this is a team that, losing Aaron Rodgers, man, he's a different type of dude in terms of talent. And to lose that and to be able, and I mean, everything pointed to this game. Everything. And I'm sure, and I got text messages. As soon as he went out, it was like, oh, this is such a Jet thing. Such a Jet thing to happen. They build this thing up and it all falls apart. But, good for them.
Yeah, I mean, just from a personal standpoint, I've gotten to know him over the years from the American Century Celebrity Golf thing in Tahoe. And, I like him a lot. I had a nice chat with him before the Giants-Jets game on the field. It was just him and I haven't seen him in a while because I don't work that golf tournament. And he came right up to me and, gave me a handshake and a big hug, and just as a fan of the sport, forget about whether he's with the Jets or whatever. I mean, is he going to play again? Like, coming back from whatever.
Him.
I know, but it's at that age, it ain't easy to come back from, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's in great physical shape. He's never been a guy that looked extremely out of shape. He doesn't carry a lot of weight. But it's up to him. I mean, he'll put the work in. If he wants to come back, and maybe he just says, look, he was partially retired before he decided he wanted to be all in with the Jets. So,
right.
I'm sure those things are going through his head right now, and you'll see what happens. But, he's out for the year, so he'll have that time to think about it and to figure out his rehab. But the beautiful part about these Achilles deals, people coming back from them things, a year later. It used to be, it's going to take you a year and a half, 2 years just before you can really do the things that you used to do. They rehab them and put them back on the field the next year, and they're moving around like nothing. So there's different techniques, I guess, and different rehab. Since I did mine, and Lawrence Taylor was walking around in a cowboy boot after he did his.
Yeah, it's a little different advancement.
But
when did you do yours?
The year I retired, I didn't even play.
Oh.
I was playing racquetball with a teammate in New Orleans, and I toured. But there was some medical intelligence gleaned from when Lawrence Taylor wore cowboy boots when he tore his Achilles. It actually helped him heal better. He didn't know it either. He just wanted to wear his boots, and the doctors wanted, because I think they wanted to try to keep the foot a certain way. But now I think they might elevate it a little more. I was talking to Ronnie Barnes. He said, yeah, they learned a little something from that. So maybe some of those techniques are in place now too.
Little do we know, Lawrence Taylor was a medical innovator.
Yeah.
Because he tore his in 92.
Yep.
Came back and played one more season, and then hung it up in 93. All right. We'll do a preview later in the week.
Yep.
As we like to end it.
Tell a friend to tell a friend that the party invitations have been sent out and the Giants are entertaining. Their offensive line, it better be pretty stout moving forward, because there are going to be a lot of people trying to make names for themselves against your personnel.
All right. For Carl Banks, I'm Bob Papa. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Believe in Giants.